Before we talk about dictators, revolutions, or social collapse, we need to look somewhere much closer, inside ourselves. Have you ever scrolled through social media and felt a quiet sting of jealousy when someone else succeeds? A classmate gets a promotion, a friend buys a house, a stranger looks happier, more confident, more loved. You smile, you might even type, "Congrats." But deep down, a small voice whispers, "Why not me?" That's not evil, it's human, but it's also the seed of something darker: resentment, envy, competition, fear of being left behind. Psychologists have studied this for decades. In one experiment by Dr. Shigeru Oishi at the University of Virginia, people were asked how they'd feel if others around them earned more money. Many admitted they'd rather make less, as long as others made even less, just to avoid feeling inferior. We don't only want success, we want relative success, to be above others. This is called social comparison bias, and it's built deep into our evolutionary wiring. Because for most of human history, status meant survival. The stronger tribe, the more attractive mate, the safer position. That instinct didn't vanish. It evolved into modern envy, rivalry, and ego. Sometimes, we even find comfort in others' pain. A German word captures this precisely: schadenfreude, the pleasure we feel when someone else fails. It's why gossip spreads faster than good news, and why a scandal often trends longer than a story of kindness. Our brains release dopamine not only when we win, but when others lose. We think evil begins with monsters, but sometimes it begins with a quiet thought we never speak aloud. This isn't to condemn us, it's to understand us. Because if we deny these shadows within, we give them power. Carl Jung once said, "No tree can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell." To understand why evil never disappears from the world, we must first understand why it never disappears from the human heart. Part 2. The Outer Reflection. The chaos we see in history, revolutions, wars, manipulation, didn't begin in palaces or war rooms. They began in human hearts, in fear, envy, pride, and the desire for control. As Alexander Solzhenitsyn wrote, "The line dividing good and evil cuts through the heart of every human being." We like to believe that evil lives out there, in corrupt politicians, violent criminals, or oppressive regimes. But the truth is harder to face. Every cruelty that ever existed was first imagined by an ordinary mind. Fear of loss becomes the hunger for power. Envy becomes oppression. The need to belong becomes tribalism. And the desire to protect turns into the urge to destroy. History's darkest acts didn't come from monsters. They came from humans who convinced themselves they were right. Psychologist Philip Zimbardo, who ran the famous Stanford Prison Experiment in 1971, discovered how easily good people can become cruel when placed in positions of unchecked power. College students assigned the role of guards began humiliating their peers in just a few days. No one ordered them to do it. They simply became what their roles allowed. Zimbardo later said, "The line between good and evil is movable, and it's influenced by the situation and the system around us." That's the terrifying truth. We don't need devils to create hell. All it takes is the right conditions, and ordinary people will build it themselves. In everyday life, we see softer versions of this. Someone lies to protect their pride. A company hides data to protect its reputation. A crowd shames someone online and calls it justice. Each action feels justified. Each person thinks they're doing the right thing. But step back far enough, and you see the same ancient pattern, the corruption of good intentions. Evil doesn't announce itself with horns and fire. It whispers in words like necessary, deserved, or for the greater good. When we look at the past, from empires to revolutions, from wars to genocides, we're not seeing something foreign to us. We're seeing a reflection, a mirror held up to humanity, showing us what happens when the darkness inside meets the power outside. Part 3. When ideals turn dark. Every great tragedy in history began as a dream of something better. The French Revolution started with a cry for liberty, but soon neighbors were denouncing neighbors, and the streets of Paris ran with blood. They called it purification, but it was fear disguised as justice. The Soviet Union rose on the promise of equality, but under Stalin, the pursuit of that dream turned into the Great Purge, where millions were executed or sent to labor camps. People weren't killed for crimes, they were killed for doubt. And in Rwanda, 1994, propaganda on the radio convinced citizens that their neighbors were the enemy. In 100 days, nearly 1 million people died, not from hatred born overnight, but from fear that was slowly fed day by day until it became moral certainty. Each time, humanity told itself the same lie. This is necessary. This is justice. This is for the greater good. That's what makes evil so seductive. It doesn't appear as cruelty, it appears as purpose. People don't commit horrors because they think they're monsters. They do it because they believe they're saving something sacred. Evil doesn't destroy ideals, it inhabits them. Part 4. The Digital Age. New tools, same shadows. Today, we no longer need guillotines or guns to wage moral wars. All it takes is a screen, an algorithm, and emotion. In 2018, the Cambridge Analytica scandal revealed how personal data from 87 million Facebook users was secretly harvested to build psychological profiles, allowing political campaigns to target people based on their deepest fears, doubts, and anger. Democracy wasn't overthrown by force, it was hacked by emotion. The weapon wasn't a bullet, it was a post that made you feel something before you could think. And in Myanmar, Facebook's algorithms amplified hate speech against the Rohingya minority so relentlessly that UN investigators called it a determining factor in the genocide. A tool built to connect the world helped set villages on fire. A platform made for friends became a battlefield of propaganda. The new age of evil doesn't need soldiers, it only needs attention. Every click is a vote, every share is a spark, every outrage feeds the system. And the system doesn't care about truth, it only cares about engagement. Part 5. The Future of Evil. Now imagine what happens when these systems no longer just react, but decide. Artificial intelligence already shapes what we see, what we buy, even how we feel. But what happens when AI learns to exploit emotion better than any human ever could? A future dictator may not silence the people. He may simply control what they believe is true. Deepfakes will blur reality until facts mean nothing. AI-generated news can flood millions of feeds in seconds. Digital armies of bots can manipulate outrage with surgical precision. And the terrifying part? It doesn't require hatred. It only requires indifference. Because if we stop questioning, if we trade reflection for convenience, then the algorithm won't need to deceive us. We'll deceive ourselves, willingly. The danger of tomorrow isn't that evil will return. It's that we'll welcome it back, because it feels familiar, comfortable, justified. Evil evolves, but so can we. If we dare to face our own reflection, to see the shadow and not turn away, then maybe, just maybe, we can finally break the cycle. Closing. The eternal duality. Good and evil aren't separate forces. They are two sides of the same human soul. To deny the darkness is to give it power. To confront it is to become whole. Evil will always exist, but it doesn't always have to win. This was part 2, The Dark Mirror, Why Evil Always Returns. In the next episode, we'll explore how power reshapes morality, why good people justify terrible things, and how civilizations fall from the inside long before their walls collapse. Because the greatest battles are never fought on the battlefield, but within the human mind.